Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. An altar of a Roman Catholic church firebombed in Vieux Fort, St. Lucia on Sunday. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 11th May 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. On Sunday, worshippers of Our Lady of the Assumption Catholic Church in Vieux Fort were left shaken after a man walked in and hurled Molotov cocktails into the sanctuary. St. Lucia's Minister of Equity, Joachim Henry, has condemned the action and is calling for the public to be more tolerant of each other's beliefs. Jason Darius of the DBS News World reports.
One man is in police custody after setting a portion of a church in Vieux Fort on fire on Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day. The individual in question reportedly barged into the Our Lady of the Assumption Catholic Church, throwing Molotov cocktails at the altar, eventually setting the Blessed Virgin Mary statue ablaze. Luckily, no one was injured, but the incident caused panic, leaving the congregation running for safety. Weighing in on the incident, Minister for Equity and Social Justice, Joachim Henry, strongly condemned Sunday's attack and further believes that St. Lucia is a very diverse nation and people ought to respect each other's rights and beliefs. The minister says the incident brought back gruesome memories of the Castries Cathedral attack of 2000.
This is not the first time this is happening. As it relates, we had the story of what happened in the cathedral so many years ago. The Ministry of Ecclesiastic Affairs Equity strongly condemned such an act. And of course, we're looking forward to a society where we are more tolerant as it relates to faith-based organizations, as it relates to people's belief, as it relates to how people live their lives. A number of groups in St. Lucia are asking for support in terms of their own recognition. They're coming to the Ministry of Equity. I've met with a number of them, and consistent with what these organizations are asking for them to be included and be mainstream in our representation. I asked that all St. Lucians be tolerable, understand that we are different in so many ways, but of course we need to embrace our differences and learn to live together. So we strongly condemn whatever happened at the Catholic Church.
The actions have raised questions about outfitting faith-based institutions with security. Minister Henry has asserted that installing security would be a deterrent to not only would-be perpetrators of crime, but also to the congregation.
Most religions and more faith-based organizations would feel that they cease to represent themselves as church if they need to be equipped with such security. But again, I leave that up to individual organizations to find how best they should exist. But the churches that I know, the Catholic, their doors are wide open and they are inviting persons to come to church, and therefore they will not be intimidating them with any form of security that would say otherwise.
Inviting
the situation
and inviting trouble.
Well, listen, I think we are expecting persons to come to worship in the main, but things don't happen. It's unfortunate, but it will not become the mode of the day. We have had a few examples, but let us not think that is what will characterize us as a people, and therefore we will respond accordingly, but we will keep church as church ought to be.
Meanwhile, the doors of the Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church remain open. Counseling services will be made available to members affected by Sunday's incident. For the DBS News World, I am Jason Darius.
Let the chips fall where they may. The response from the Minister of National Security of Trinidad and Tobago. Minister Fitzgerald Hines was responding to reports of a purportedly leaked police report, which the opposition says contains serious allegations against a government minister. Minister Hines spoke at a news conference on Monday Anselm Gibbs of TV6 News has that report.
Never in the history of this country have I ever heard before, and I came out of the police service, a matter that was addressed to a particular police officer in the police service, now in the public domain.
The National Security Minister on a reportedly leaked TTPS Special Branch report said to be from July 2019. The opposition UNC says the report names a former PNM senator, now minister, as the subject of investigations into alleged fraudulent activities and supposed gang affiliations.
The leaking of a confidential document, and that too will gain the attention of the police. But the content, which is the intention, was to highlight the Prime Minister and the Minister of Youth Development in a certain way.
Youth Development Minister Foster Cummings has said the report contains serious, dangerous, and inaccurate assertions.
The police have the information, and the police know what to do with all intelligence they get. Convert it into evidence, and when they do that, and we of the government have no problem with that, the chips will fall wherever they may.
Anselm Gibbs, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Over in Trinidad and Tobago, the police service will undertake a major gun retrieval exercise in response to the rising crime rate. Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob estimates there are over 12,000 illegal firearms and is pleading with citizens to assist in taking them off the streets. TTT's Sunil Lala reports.
Insofar as the crime situation is concerned, it is horrendous. It is mind-blowing.
National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines says government remains concerned about a rising crime rate, but admits that it is not an overnight fix. He says the TTPS has assured that increased patrols, especially in hotspot areas, will be heightened. But he says a robust gun retrieval exercise will be undertaken to get the weapon of choice for murders off the streets.
We are told that there are about 12,000 illegal firearms in this country. From intelligence, the gatherers of intelligence surmise that that is the amount. Some of us feel it might be more. But the idea is to get them.
The minister adds that border security will also be heightened, recalling an exercise over the weekend where the Cape-class vessels assisted in capturing contraband from 8 individuals. Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob says the rising murder rate is of major concern and is pleading with citizens to assist in bringing down the annual average of 440 murders.
We have inherent in our society criminal elements, and we all need to work together to deal with it. And if we constantly look at individuals and superheroes, it wouldn't solve the problem.
And Acting Prisons Commissioner Deo Prasad Ramata says of major concern is that a large number of murders emanate from behind prison walls, with contraband and cell phones coming inside via rogue prison officers.
It's a big money business. Drugs is an industry. Cell phone in the prison is an industry. These inmates are being facilitated by citizens of this country. Whether it comes in through an officer, a drone, or thrown in the estate, or thrown over the wall in Port of Spain prison.
Minister Hines says despite calls, he has not considered stepping down from his post and has in fact asked Cabinet for an increased budgetary allocation to ensure national security personnel have the tools they need to fight criminal activity. Sonolala, TTT News.
Over in the Bahamas, there are 3 deaths at the Sandals Emerald Bay resorts, with 1 hospitalized. More in this ZNS News report.
Sandals Royal Bahamian here in Nassau, but it's its sister property, the Sandals Emerald Bay in Exuma, that has dominated headlines locally and internationally over the past 72 hours. This as resort officials and local authorities are trying to uncover what caused the deaths of 3 American tourists and left 1 in hospital. Officials on the ground in Exuma are still trying to piece together the puzzle and figure out what caused the deaths of 3 American tourists and left another in hospital. Providing the latest update on the situation, Acting Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for Exuma, Honorable Chester Cooper, issued a statement saying, "First in our thoughts are the grieving families As a native of Exuma and the Member of Parliament, I have reached out personally to the families to offer condolences on behalf of the people of Exuma and the Bahamas. Adding since Saturday, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Tourism, and officials from the U.S. Embassy have been working together, including collaborating to expedite the process for the formal identification of the deceased. Once the remains have been legally identified, the pathologist can begin the process of identifying the cause of death. Prime Minister Davis has been kept abreast of the situation as well, and further reads that they will provide further updates once more information is available, again offering sympathies, thoughts, and prayers to the families affected. And obviously a sad situation over there in Exuma. Sandals News team talked to a guest who is on honeymoon at the resort. She said, "I can tell you there was a lot of speculation on Friday during the day as to what happened. We were a little on edge that evening and slept with our balcony door cracked. We had a great time and definitely want to make another trip to the Bahamas in the future." While the victims' identities still remain under wraps, we understand that two of the victims were a married couple from Birmingham, Alabama, with the husband being one of the three victims who died and the wife being the lone survivor who is currently being treated in hospital. Sandals News team also understands, based on sources close to the situation, that yes will be transferred from the Exuma property to the Sandals Royal Bahamian for at least one night. We reached out to hotel officials for confirmation, but no response was given up to news time. We will continue to update you on this story as it progresses. For Zenith Network News, I'm Amajal Knowles.
Meanwhile, Fox 11 out of Los Angeles, California, gives another perspective on the development at the Sandals Resort Emerald Bay property.
Alex and Christine, investigators are hoping pending autopsies and toxicology reports shed light on what caused these vacation mysterious deaths. The State Department now investigating the situation in the Bahamas after 3 Americans were found dead this weekend at the Sandals Emerald Bay Resort. One of the 3 victims identified as a man from the Florida Panhandle, Vincent Chiarella. He was staying in one of the resort's villas with his wife for their anniversary. She survived and was airlifted to a Miami hospital. Her son telling ABC News she woke up during the scare and couldn't move. Another couple who died, identified as Michael and Robbie Phillips of Tennessee, had been staying in the villa right next door. Bahamas health officials say some hotel guests had gone to a clinic Thursday with nausea and vomiting.
All of them had reported feeling ill, and they, as was reported already, were seen by the medics.
Toxicologists are now looking at both villas to see if environmental factors could be to blame. Authorities don't suspect foul play.
They're looking at the water heater, the air conditioner, and propane to see if carbon monoxide poisoning is possible, because they've been focusing on the idea that the woman said she couldn't move and she had a lot of muscle weakness.
The Sandals Resort is assisting the investigation into these mysterious deaths. For now, the resort does remain open in Bahamas. Health officials say there appears to be no threat to anybody else staying on the property. Now, authorities say Michael and Robbie Phillips of Tennessee were in their mid to late 60s and experienced travelers because they owned a travel agency. Sandals Resort issued a statement reiterating safety is the #1 priority of its guests, and it is supporting the guests' families in every way possible.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.